DNA of this community, design and engineering, where that intersection between creativity and engineering occurs in this single environment. So people will be, all of those age groups mingling here, looking at a new way to educate. So this building has become, it's now called the Taubman Center, and it has design departments from CCS, the graduate school here, 300 kids living here, 24/7 environment with 2,000 people a day walking here, coming to the school, and full of middle school kids and high school kids that are moving forward. It becomes now a new symbol of 21st century skills and entrepreneurial capability and creative enterprise. So it's one example.
The turntable is right down there, right?
Yeah, right.
Spin the card. We'll spin that during the reception.
Sir.
You know, one of the things that I think is missed is the importance of adult education. We've got an entire generation of illiteracy. And we talk about the kids, but we've got a lot of folks, a lot of adults, and part of the problem with some of the children is that their parents have not been educated properly. So we blame all the responsibility on the teachers. And I think we got to look at parents and the adults and give them some of the responsibility also. But we have a responsibility, I believe, not only to educate our children, but we can't forget about those adults that are illiterate, and we've got to figure out how to help them also.
How do we begin to do that?
Well, there's a lot of dollars, hopefully, in Washington that will come this way for retraining. And I think the first thing people got to do is not to be embarrassed because you can't read, because you can't comprehend. And that's a tough thing as an adult. You don't want your child or anybody else to know that you're inadequate and you're deficient in those particular areas. But the first thing we have to do is be honest with ourselves and say that I'm not good at this. I need help. And I want to be able to go to Washington and get as many dollars as I possibly can. And I do think we've got a system here. There are schools here. There are agencies in our community that I think can really take the lead and help us to identify the shortcomings of our adult population that's illiterate.
You know, there are folks in the country, or even in the city of Detroit, the metro area, who view the city of Detroit as being very similar to post-Katrina New Orleans, requiring some kind of federal bailout, essentially. Should that happen, and if so, what form should that take?
Whatever money that I can get, I want. I'm not going to be afraid of paying. I don't think, and you got to be smart, assuming that we get it. You got to be smart how you invest it. And I do think there are enough of us in the community who understand what our shortcomings are, what our needs are. But there's no doubt it's going to be very difficult for us to come back without some massive federal support. And I've been to Washington, to the White House 3 times. As a child growing up there, I went to the White House once.
On tour?
On a tour. I've been back there 3 times as mayor, but I've also been on tour. I want to be able to say I met with the president and this is what I want to ask. This is what our needs are in the city of Detroit. And that's the next step for me.
And what would you like to tell President Obama about 3 things that you think the needs are?
Well, I do think we need dollars to train and retrain our folks. I think from an infrastructure standpoint, there's a massive need for our infrastructure upgrades. Transportation is one of those. We're talking mass transit from a regional standpoint. I don't think there's a master plan in place today to address it, but I think there's conversations that are leading in that direction. And for the first time, it seems that the city and our 3 surrounding counties here are all pretty well aligned on a lot of different things now. So we can speak with one voice, and we got to stop thinking about the parochial situation that we find ourselves in. Yeah, I represent Detroit, but I do understand how important the other counties are around Detroit. And in order for us to survive, all of us need to be on the same page, and I think we are.
Carol, any thoughts on the question of does Detroit need a form of a federal government bailout?
Well, I think that we've been talking about Detroit is at ground zero in a lot of ways. And I do believe that we should get some special consideration for our schools, around jobs, around other infrastructure pieces that will help our city to recover. And, I want to say one thing about participation in the recovery. Our unemployment is very high in the city. And there are a number of people who are not participating in the current economy, in the old economy, and probably will not be prepared to participate in the future economy unless we are very intentional about helping them to be ready for that. So I do think we should get some special consideration, and I think that Detroit is ready for investment. Certainly we are hearing from national foundations across the country who say they want to come and they want to partner and they really want to be a part of making Detroit the strong city that it once was.
John?
Just my sense is President Obama and the rest of the country, all eyes are on Detroit. They've asked Detroit to put Detroit through a ringer in the sense of, your auto companies, 2 out of 3 are going to go through bankruptcy. Thank you, and emerge on the other side. We're going to make that happen.
That's the other piece,
Right. But my point is, there's nothing I think the nation and the president would like better than to help Detroit and invest in Detroit to help it find its place down the road. But what they need, just like with the auto companies, they need local leadership that has a plan, that's working together, that they can believe in and invest in and partner in. And I think that's what's coming here, and that's what the kind of alignment of the stars in terms of elected leaders, mayor, being the philanthropic community, the other leadership in this town, coming together and having a plan and a game plan that is more than worthy of the feds making significant investment that's going to pay real dividends on the ground.
Steve.
Yeah, I agree with both of my colleagues on either side of me. I was struck the other night because you mentioned New Orleans, and it is a Katrina situation. When Governor Granholm in the State of the State reminded us, as if we needed to be reminded, that 78% of water sector jobs have disappeared in the last decade. That is just a mind-blowing statistic, and so many of those. The mayor was just talking before we came out about the number of jobs lost in the city or in the surrounding communities, Livonia and Warren, communities that make up the larger region. New Economy Initiative is a $100 million initiative from 10 area and national foundations that is on the ground in entrepreneurial training, workforce development, and creative corridor investments. We've invested probably to date, or have authorization to invest about $45 million in a lot of these projects. That is a drop in the bucket. It's an absolute drop in the bucket. So I think John is correct, and Carol is correct. We have plans that are coming together that are truly exciting and energizing. They're lining up behind the mayor's agenda. We are investing our money, but we need to leverage our money smartly. We need help in navigating Washington. We need to find those sticky spots that hopefully Brookings will help us find, and channel money back to initiatives that truly are getting organized and moving forward behind the leadership of Mayor Bay.
Carol, before I open up the floor to questions from the audience, we've heard a lot about new economy this, new economy that. What does it mean? And especially, what does it mean for average Detroiters, right?
Yeah, that's a great question, Steve. They've been talking a lot about it. Yeah, that's right. Great question. But no, I think that the old jobs, and if you just think about the old manufacturing jobs that were available, and I grew up in Detroit. I went to high school, Detroit Public Schools, and really the curriculum was designed for people to go to work in the plant for the most part. Those jobs have gone away, so now there are jobs that involve technology and energy and research, a higher level of math and science. People have to have that set of skills to be able to do that. But we all know that we have a generation or more of young people who don't have the math and science skills to be able to participate fully. So the new jobs, some of them will be green jobs. I'm not even sure what that means, but we talked about wind and energy and all of those things. So some of them will be that. And some people can be entrepreneurs and start their own businesses. But I think that unless solve the illiteracy problems, unless we really do things about retraining and providing the right set of skills, and unless we totally reform and restructure our public schools, not just Detroit public schools, but all public schools, we will not be prepared to